In the small town of Amityville, Long Island, New York, there stands a house that from the outside looks like the perfect American dream. A big Dutch colonial-style home with white walls, green lawns, and a river behind it. But inside, it holds one of the most terrifying stories of the modern age. This is the story of the Amityville Horror. In November of 1974, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. took a rifle and in the middle of the night murdered his parents and his 4 siblings as they slept. Each body was found lying face down in bed, as if they had been carefully placed that way. Neighbors reported never hearing the gunshots, which made the crime even more disturbing. Later, Ronald claimed that he had heard voices commanding him to kill. The tragedy shocked the town, and the house quickly gained a dark reputation. The following year, the house went up for sale at a very low price. Despite the horrific history, a young couple, George and Kathy Lutz, decided to move in with their 3 children in December 1975, hoping for a new beginning. But within just 28 days, their dream home turned into a living nightmare. On the very first day, the Lutz family invited Father Mancuso, a local priest, to bless the house. As he sprinkled holy water in one of the rooms, he suddenly heard a deep, harsh voice say the words, "Get out." Shortly after, the priest fell ill with a high fever and painful blisters across his body. It was the last time he would ever enter the home. Strange events quickly began to plague the Lutz family. Rooms would suddenly fill with icy cold air, even though the windows were shut tight. A foul stench like rotting flesh would drift through the halls. In one bedroom, in the middle of winter, hundreds of flies suddenly appeared on the windows and then died for no reason. Kathy began to have vivid nightmares of the DeFeo murders, seeing each family member shot in their beds. In her dreams, she saw herself in the place of Louise DeFeo, the murdered mother. George also started to change. Every night at exactly 3:15, the same time the murders had occurred, he would wake up without explanation. He began to hear footsteps moving through the house, doors slamming, and voices whispering. His mood grew darker, and he spent hours chopping wood in the basement, as though under some kind of possession. Their young daughter Missy claimed she had made a new friend, a large pig-like creature named Jody. She often spoke to Jody from her window. One night, George looked out and saw 2 glowing red eyes staring back at him from the darkness. Religious crosses the family had hung around the house were found turned upside down. Green slime oozed from keyholes and walls as if the house itself was alive. Beds shook violently, doors opened and closed by themselves, and the children screamed as unseen hands pulled at their blankets. Kathy once looked in the mirror and saw her own face transformed into that of an old woman with deep wrinkles, only for it to vanish a moment later. Friends who visited reported a heavy, suffocating atmosphere inside the house, as if an unseen presence was watching them. On the 28th night, something happened so terrifying that the Lutz family refused to ever speak of it in detail. The next morning, without packing any belongings, they fled the house and never returned. Afterward, investigators and journalists entered the home. Paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren concluded that a demonic entity was present in the house. During one investigation, a camera set up in the hallway captured the chilling image of a small boy peeking out from a doorway, though no children were in the house at the time. That photograph remains one of the most famous ghost images ever taken. Books, documentaries, and Hollywood movies have retold the story again and again, sparking debate over whether it was all real or just a hoax. But one thing is certain. Everyone who has spent time inside that house has felt that something was terribly wrong. The Lutz family themselves left everything behind to escape whatever evil had taken hold. To this day, the address 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, remains infamous. And people say that if you find yourself inside that house at 3:15 in the morning, you too might hear the footsteps, the whispers, and the voices that once commanded a man to kill. Subscribe Shadow Hunters for more real stories.